In addition to decentralization, which makes you resilient and avoids the network from being co-opted and destroyed, you need to have good governance. Because without good governance, you have nothing. And it's hard because you have to find a way to talk to people you don't like. It's hard because you have to learn to listen to people. It's hard because even if you believe you have the answer, you have to figure out how to explain that in a way and negotiate that. You have access to the world. No matter how big a problem is, if you throw enough human beings with the right organizational structure on it, you can solve it. That's what we learned in the 20th century. It was the first century in human history where we could collaborate at scales of millions of people. And in the 21st century is the first century where we're going to be able to collaborate at scales of billions of people. I'll give you a great example of this. I think it was 06. First plane flew, North Carolina. The Wright brothers, 63 years later, not very long. In fact, you could have seen both events. Mankind stepped on the moon. 63 years. Think about that. We went from a hand-built plane by a small group of people in North Carolina to 1 million people working together, thousands of companies, dozens of countries, and we put a human being on the moon with a computer as powerful as a hand calculator. Just a few years earlier, we had horrible accidents where astronauts burned to death in the capsules and rockets were exploding and they couldn't even get the little moon lander to work properly. But they figured it out because that's the power of coordination. And if you have a will in people, you can get it done. So that second thing, that decentralized governance, which if you noticed in the A16Z report doesn't even really get mentioned. If you notice in a lot of these industry reports talking about, well, which token price is going to go up, they seldom talk about governance except for evading regulation. They say, oh, you need decentralized governance because then you're not a security. That's the conversation we're literally having. It's so stupid. But the people who live with bad governance, they instantly accept that that's a good thing to aspire for. Because if you have good governance, you have places like Switzerland with amazing infrastructure and 300 years of peace and political stability and one of the highest GDPs in the world. And when you have bad governance, you have a failed state, a broken currency. The infrastructure doesn't work. People hate each other. Things are falling apart. No one feels represented.